Hello everyone, welcome to another theatre vlog. Tonight I'm going to the Other Palace, which is one of my favourite venues in London, and I'm going to see Big Fish, which is a new musical. I don't think I've heard any songs from it, though I probably have, and I just don't know that they're in this show. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to grab a pack of tissues actually, because a lot of people have said that they've cried. So I'm going to grab some tissues and head out to the theatre. Excuse the bad lighting. I just needed to come away from the theatre to chat. I didn't chat to you in the interval because I don't know, I just didn't. That show was rather emotional. As I do with most things, I went into it not knowing anything about it. Spoiler, but if you lost a parent, it's not a great show to go and see. Like, it was a good show, but there's a lot of daffodils as well, and my mum's favourite flowers were daffodils, so I'm a bit of a mess right now. So I'm just literally in the middle of Victoria having a bit of a moment. So that's what's up right now. I'll obviously talk more about this show when I am not feeling like a fragile bean, but for now, I just wanted to say that I'm emotional. It wasn't funny, but there was a moment like in between the show finishing and the applause where you could just hear sobs, little sobs. It wasn't from me, but there were little sobs, and I feel like that kind of sums it up. Right, I'm gonna go and I'll talk to you later. Hello everyone, welcome back to the chatty section. I'm a little bit more composed than I was the last time you saw me. Yeah, let's get into that. As you saw, I went to see Big Fish at the Other Palace. I had this show booked for so long. I don't normally book things that far in advance, but I'm pretty sure I booked this show at the end of July, like when the tickets went on sale. I know nothing about this show, like going into it, but I just knew, I had a feeling, I was like, this is gonna sell out. It's not completely sold out, but I think pretty much the entire previews were sold out, which is great. Fantastic for the Other Palace and for this show, and I'm glad that I managed to get a ticket. I love the Other Palace, formerly known as the St. James. It is one of my favourite venues, so I like to go and see stuff there kind of as much as I can and can afford to. It's a fantastic venue, and since being taken over by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Really Useful Group and becoming the Other Palace, I love the direction it's going in. I'm really excited for its future. It's kind of coming to the end of its first year almost, and yeah, it's just really exciting. I knew that Big Fish had obviously been over in New York, but I'd not watched the film, not read the book, didn't know anything about it. In hindsight, should have prepped myself a little bit because it was relevant. However, I had seen people saying on Twitter that they'd come out of it in tears, so I took a pack of tissues with me just in case, and yeah, I needed it at the end of at the end of the show. So I'm glad I took that. First, let's talk about the casting of this show because it was one of the main things that drew me into it. Sorry that I'm looking down, but I'm reading off on my phone so I don't make any mistakes. They've reeled in a big name in Kelsey Grammer playing Edward Bloom, the main character of the show. Matt Seaton-Young plays his son Will. Jamie Moscato played the story version of Edward Bloom and essentially his younger self. Also, some other familiar faces that were in the ensemble that I knew of. Sophie Linda Lee, who I saw many times in Wicked, and George Ure, who I also saw many times, but at the Milton Keynes pantomime when I worked there. I probably saw him perform probably about 40 shows, I guess. Maybe a bit less, could be an over-exaggeration, but it's panto. There's a lot of shows. So yeah, it was lovely to see them as well. It was really nice to see Kelsey Grammer in a show. I know he was in Finding Neverland, but I believe he was out of the show when I saw it on Broadway. He was great, actually. I was like, oh, I wonder how he's gonna be, thinking like I've only really know him from like Frasier. That's the only thing I could sort of connect with. But no, he was really good, actually. I thought he played this role so perfectly. Like, he had the right attitude for it and like the comedy. It was very natural to him. So that was really lovely to see. Jamie Moscato is a fantastic performer. I've seen him in so much this year. Like, I think I've seen him in pretty much everything he's done this year, and a couple of shows before that. So I'm very lucky to have seen him again. It was really nice, actually. This was a bit more of a funnier role for him to play, like a bit more light-hearted. I last saw him do Clyde in Bonnie and Clyde in the workshop at the Other Palace, and also JD in the Heather's workshop at the Other Palace. Very kind of darker roles. This one was a bit more fun, so that was lovely. Matthew Seaton-Young I recently saw in Beautiful when it was in London, and also I think the last thing would have been Urinetown, I think, and he is great as well. Again, I thought he was very well suited to this character. The casting team really got it spot on. I know that's their job and they should be able to get it spot on, but you know, they really did. The story of Big Fish, if you have never read the book or seen the film, like I had not, it's about Will trying to piece together what is real and what is fake from the stories that his father Edward has told him over the years, because he told a lot of stories, but there's a lot of kind of exaggeration or fantasy elements, so it's hard to work out what's actually real. We find out in the show that Edward is actually ill, so time is limited. Having watched a trailer for the film while prepping for this part of the video, I'm actually really impressed with how they've translated it to stage. I also watched a little trailer from the Broadway production, and from the looks of things, I actually prefer how they've done it at the Other Palace. I feel like it's a bit more fun and in keeping with the Tim Burton style. Tim Burton directed the film. As soon as I say that, you know Tim Burton style. So yeah, I felt like it kind of like worked more with that from the film. The set, although it was simple, was really creative, and I loved the use of the digital screens, and it actually made me think, because Eugenius is coming to the Other Palace early next year, at the start of next year, and I'm really excited to see how they do for the set for that show, and I feel like if they are able to use the same technology, that would look really cool. So it was nice to see that being used so well in the Other Palace, because the last show that I saw here that used technology in this way was Exposure, which I did not enjoy. So it was nice to see them use technology, and it really worked so beautifully in this show. Really helped as well with the sort of fantasy elements that you can't convey as well through obviously physical sets and things like that. The costumes were also brilliant and ridiculous and crazy, but perfect for this show. The story was really fascinating in terms of it being a little bit all over the place because of all the different stories within the story. So Edward's stories from his youth and growing up, they were very wacky, but I really enjoyed that. It's nice that at the end it all came to a conclusion. I was a little bit worried that they might not tie it up in terms of the story not being tied up, because that whole thing of him maybe never knowing, him being Will, the son, but thankfully it was, and it was emotional. I lost my mum a few years ago, and daffodils were her favourite flower, and they are a very prominent thing in this show. So just the sight of a daffodil and then the sight of many daffodils kind of tipped me over the edge. And I've been a bit of an emotional wreck since, I won't lie. So thanks, Big Fish. Really appreciate that. Yeah, perhaps a trigger warning would have been nice in hindsight, but here is the trigger warning if you need it. If you're grieving, if something like that has happened to you recently, take some tissues and this caution with you. But no, it was a great show. The one thing I have to say is I was in the second row. I don't normally like to sit this close at the other palace, but I sort of frantically booked whatever ticket I could get. Definitely would recommend sitting like further back, but it's a tiny venue, so really even if you're right at the back, it's going to be a great view. So yeah, if you're wanting to book a seat at the other palace, don't go in the first like 4 rows. Go a bit further back and you'll be great. So there's my little thoughts on Big Fish. I probably could dive in and more. Oh my God, who am I? But yeah, I don't want to get emotional, so I'm gonna cap it off there. If you've been to see Big Fish at the other palace or elsewhere, do let me know. I would love to know your thoughts on the show in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and you'd like to see more of me in the future. I hope you're doing really well, and I will see you very soon. Bye!